friends, how are you? Welcome to Aisha's Corner, where we are obsessed with true crime, makeup, and everything unexplained. So without any further ado, let's jump into the video. And please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and tell a friend to tell a
friend.
Yeah, I'm with my sister as always, Nuraya. You wanna say hi?
Hello.
Hi. Okay, so let's jump into the video. The following presentation contains graphic detailed description of the crime scenes and strong language. Viewer discretion is highly advised. So, another murder series, episode 13. Oh, it's been so long since I did one of these. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but we'll get through it. And today we're just taking an Uber up to, Upper we stay. We're not going so far. We're keeping it Kenyan for quite a while. I wanted to come back with a murder case that was Kenyan, And today we're going to talk about one of the first Kenyan politicians to ever be assassinated. People can say he was the first Kenyan martyr. Actually, I agree. So, before we get into his what's exactly happened, let's get to know a little bit about him. He went by the name of Pio Gama Pinto. We read him in history, and let me tell you, this is till to date one of my favorite, Kenyan stories about politicians and to go down in history and stuff like that. Man, I used to be fascinated because I did history in school. I loved history. So he fascinated me. So let's get into his story and a little bit about his background, and let's get to know how he was. But he was a good guy. He was good people. We like Pio Gama Pinto here. We are all for Pio Gama Pinto here. Period. Are you for Pio Gama Pinto?
Pio Gama Pinto.
Pio Gama Pinto for president. Pio Gama Pinto was born on 31st of March in 1927, and he was sadly assassinated on February 24th in 1965, just as Kenya, had gotten his independence, just as Kenya was, breaking away from the shackles of the white man's rule, just when we're saying, you know what, we can do this by ourselves. And this happens. Anyway, he was a journalist, a freedom fighter, and he was also a politician, and he dedicated his life to the liberation of Kenyan and the independence of Kenya. And he was the first independent Kenya's martyr, like I said, in 1965. So his parents were of Asian descent, and they migrated to Kenya, and his dad became a colonial officer while his mom, just remained as a housewife. And Pio Gama Pinto was a very bright boy when he was younger, and his parents decided to take him back home to India for, further studies. Not further, his education. That is where he got his education from. And he was, to say the least, he was remarkably intelligent. When he graduated, he joined the Indian Air Force, where he was an engineer. And soon after, he formed the Goa National Congress. And that marked the beginning of his, political career. But he fled India to escape imprisonment in Bombay. So he came to Kenya, and like I say, he continued. In Kenya he continued his political career, but he believed in socialism. And socialism is a belief that everyone in a country has equal rights to share the country's wealth. And that was against most of the Kenyan leaders who believed in capitalism. And capitalism is an economic system in which a country's business and industry are controlled and run for profit by private owners. Anyway, so at this time, a lot of leaders did not agree with Pinto's way of leading or how he was, coming through. They're like, dude, you're doing the most. Relax. But Pinto had other ideas. He was like, no. And due to that, he was imprisoned for 4 years, and he was detained in a correctional facility, if I can say that, a correctional camp. And after 4 years, he came and he formed what is this, Kanu? You remember Kanu? Not Kanu the party, but Kanu newspaper, Kenya African National Union newspaper, where he would talk about, he would campaign about African political, issues and problems. And they didn't like this. They did not like this. That was like in 1959, where he got out of like the correctional facility or prison or whatever you want to call it. And during this time, he had a meeting with the famous Malcolm X. Malcolm X was also a freedom fighter in the United States for Black people. He was a voice for the Black people. He believed in equality. He believed in socialism. And these two were truly birds of a feather. And they did flock together. Birds of a feather. And this meeting, when he came out of prison, the people who had sent him in prison, they were like, oh man, he's not a threat. They didn't think he was a threat. And this meeting with Malcolm X, let me tell you, now that is, he started getting popularity because of this meeting. And he shook some leaders. They're like, wait, hold up, we really did underestimate this guy. Maybe there's more to him than we thought. And they were shaking. So they didn't like it at all, because they did share ideas. And like I've mentioned earlier, now other Kenyan leaders who their ideas were capitalist started seeing him as a threat. And when you see something as a threat,
you eliminate it.
Exactly, you eliminate it.
This
is kitu inakusumbua, unafanya nini?
Hey, we don't accept threats here.
That's what they say. So in 1965, Pinto was sadly shot in his driveway, and he left his wife Emma and 3 kids to poverty. And Emma believed, I'm with Emma on this one, she believed her husband's death was political. And due to that, and she feared for her life, she fled to Canada. Thank God she had resources to actually flee. She fled to Canada and started life there afresh with her kids. And she even landed a secretarial job for herself and started to pick up the pieces and where everything had left off, which is very, very sad. And most of Pinto's close friends did flee the country, fearing that the government would also assassinate them. At this point, that is what the close friends and family of Pinto believed. He was a people's people. He was a people's leader. He was all for the people. Unimtua watu. He wasn't greedy. He believed in equalities. Like, yo, tuko na hii, tugawane, and everyone is going to be happy. But tukichukua sisi peke yetu, kuna wengine watateseka. Mbona? That was how his mind was working, which is a very good thing. He was a great leader. Chef's kiss. So he was a hero. He was our hero. And sadly, he did pass on even before he could formulate his ideas and dreams of Kenya or what he wanted Kenya to be, because we all have dreams of all our countries, but there are people who are up there who represent the people's country, where they are supposed to want your best interests. No. But apparently that didn't happen. That is very unfortunate. How greedy can people be? Because most of these leaders wanted to, at that time, the late former president Jomo Kenyatta did assign most of the land to his close friends and allies and family members. those are the things that Pinto was against. That's what it said in the article. Don't come for me. But we know, we know. Tunajua nchi kuna wenyewe. Those people who are lucky enough, to get land at that time. Siache kila mtu, watu wengine wateseke, gawia watu vitu. But anyway, poor Emma and her family, my condolence to them. It's been a long time. This guy was born in 1927. Wow. Even my parents wachana na mimi. We, unajua vile 1927 ni kitambo, bro. But anyway, so now let's get into, the juicy part. Now the main part of the story. We had just introduced Pinto. Now we know who he is. We know, where he's from, where he got his education,
what he was dreaming to do,
his dreams, his idea, his wife's name. He had 3 kids. Beautiful human being whose life was ended prematurely, sadly. But now let's get to the center of this story. What holds this story. So first of all, shout outs to Mr. Noor, my dad. This guy helps me with this my research without even him knowing. You remember last time, the last case I ever did, which was 3 months ago, but now I'm back. I told him it was about Washushu, Wanugu or Washushu, one of them, and he was like, he told me an experience he had. He wasn't in the gang or anything, but he just like, wow, he shared his insight because at that time he was around, and he witnessed what was going on. And so like just about 2 days ago, I was doing my research and was like, oh, what are you researching this time? I'm like, Pio Gama Pinto. Is like, no way. His case was in the newspaper like 2 to 3 days ago. I'm like, stop. So he brought me the newspaper, and I read about now his alleged assassinator. It was it was on Friday, May 20th, 2022. Just last Friday. And here is the story. Here. This is like, I'm scared for my life. Man accused for killing Pinto says, what are the chances that I just like I decide to research about Pinto and this happens. I'm like, anyway, so let's get into this man's life. Now, the center of this part of the story, this is the second part of the story, is a man named Kisilu Mutua, a man who was alleged to have murdered, or rather assassinated, our Pinto, because we are all for
Pinto Gama Pinto.
Pio Gama Pinto.
Pio Gama Pinto.
Yeah, man. So at only 21, 23, I'll say 21. I'm not sure about them. But at only 21, he was in prison for, my God, there are birds out here and they just can't stop. So it's birds.
Nature.
It's nature.
Mother Nature has said them birds support us.
They're also on team Pio. Yeah, man. So he was in prison for 36 years. Oh my God. Yeah, no, 36 years. Oh my God. The story of Kisilu Mutua, it just touches me. It is so sad. I can't believe this guy went through this, because I believe him. So this will happen. The chief of police at the time, his name was Patrick Shaw. And let me tell you something about Patrick Shaw. He was a man. These people, I've never thought like that. Those like, okay, like thinking about it right now, like having read this story, and then the police officer at that time was a white man. I'm like, obviously, but I've never like thought about it. Once Kenya had white officers, not only Kenya but most of Africa, because they are our colonizers. So this guy, he heard of this story of, Pinto's assassination, and he was like, I'm interested. I want in. I want in. I want in. And he got in. And on the other side of town, Kisilu said, I can't remember the name he used, but he said nowadays they call it Lutuli. That's where he used to say to stay. Lutuli. Hapa. Everyone knows Lutuli.
Hey.
Umeishi Nairobi, you know of Lutuli. So anyway, so that day Kisilu says alikuwa tu hapo nje kwake. Yeah, amechill,
minding his own business.
And then 2 officers who, by the way, he is acquainted to, anawajua, wakakam. Mmoja anaitwa Corporal Mutisu, mwingine Mwakilu, and they were walking. But now you see this Mwakilu, he was a bit plump kushinda Mutiso. So obviously, like, his pace was a bit slower than Corporal Mutisu, and he was behind kidogo. And where Kisilu was standing, wakapita. They passed where Kisilu was, and so Kisilu turned to look at them, and then Mwakilu, Corporal Mwakilu, turned, and they made eye contact. No, it's not a K-drama. He was like, yo, Kisilu,
come, let's take a walk.
Exactly as she said, come, let's take a walk. To the walk in the dark. Anyway, so akaenda, lakini si walk in the dark. But it was around 7 or 8. So technically speaking, it was walk in the dark. But still Givenchy Gardens. So they started walking, just making small talk. Small talk. For who? For what? For where? For how?
For which?
For when? Ain't nobody got time for small talk. Anyway, so they just did their small talk, because he was acquainted with this person. He knew this guy. He had no idea what was coming to hit him. Huh? He wished he had never turned to look at this guy. He wished he had never talked to this.
So like they planned, or like
it was kind of like orchestrated, because ni kama walikuwa wana hunt for someone,
just someone to.
I know, because hey man, the way this story goes, I only have to believe that. That is the only thing I can believe, because dude. Anyway, let me
and then we go.
Kwanza acha nimalize hiyo part kwanza before niende off camera kufanya my eyebrows. So now they're just talking. Wakapiga turn, they took a corner kwa kichochoro hivi, and police came, running. They man, it was like a movie. Yani police everywhere. He was shocked. Akaingizwa kwa gari. Hapo nyuma.
Like they planned everything.
It was like, planned, because how? Because by then, even him, akaingizwa kwa hiyo gari, they had really not told him what he was being arrested for, what he was being like caught for. He was just like, actually he said that he was put in a gunia, in a sack, and he was transported all the way to Pangani police station. He was like, why are you taking me to Pangani police station? Why not just here? Because I believe you're gonna sell up karibu. Anyway, why not just here? Why all the way to Pangani police station? Mbona? I was mad. And this guy, hey man. Anyway, let me do my eyebrows really quick and I'll be back. It gets juicier and we are angry. We are what?
Angry. We are angry people.
Yeah. So we are back with the blue bros. I'm feeling blue today because I'm talking about Pinto. Anyway, mtu akapelekwa Pangani police station.
Today I'm sack. Don't forget that. Inner sack.
Today I'm going for a bluish, smoky eye makeup look. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but let's just start and go with the flow. But that's the idea I'm going for. So if you see me do things here, don't mind me. Anyway, so he was taken there, and this guy, Patrick Shaw, I don't like this guy. I just don't like this guy. Eh? He decides to, beat him up proper. Proper. This guy was given one proper beating. And it's Kisilu himself says in an interview how this guys beat him na marungu. They beat him to the point that his eyes zilikuwa zimefura. They were like getting out of his sockets. Can you imagine that beating that this guy went through? And I can imagine those times, no mercy, ruthless. And obviously the government was rushing this thing because they wanted someone to be held responsible, and this guy was caught. And at this time he wasn't even told what he was, he was here for. He was just being, he knows that he was just being beaten proper. And then at around 2 a.m. in the morning, this Shaw comes and he takes Kisilu wakampeleka where the crime scene was, where the deceased Pinto was assassinated. And he was telling him, show us where it happened, how it did. And he was genuinely like shocked, like, what happened, where, for who, how, what are you talking about? He didn't know. And so he was taken back after they realized this guy is not going to give them the answer they want. They realized, they're like, you know what, we're wasting our time. They took him back to Pangani police station, where now they decided that they're going to officially now accuse him of the murder of the assassination of Pio Gama Pinto. And he did. So when he was taken in front of the jury, actually, there was this Mary Kibichu. Mary Kibichu was a house help at Pinto's compound. She said, Margaret, is it Margaret? Let me. Thank you, Ben. Margaret Kibichu. I'm sorry. Margaret Kibichu. She said, the Pinto had this kind of like a routine with the 18-month-old daughter. Every day, this was his routine. Wake up, take his wife Emma to work, where she worked as a secretary for one of the high-end politicians, and then came back, took some breakfast, and then before driving away, Margaret will put the 18-month-old daughter at the back seat of the car, where he will drive from their door to the gate. Every day they did this, and Margaret said that day she did not see who shot Pinto. It was too fast. And before I continue this story, can we talk about this 18-month-old girl? Babies do remember stuff, and they may not actually remember everything and how it happened, but it had to have had some impact in her life. Can we talk about this girl was seated at the back seat, her dad being shot, the fear, and everything. The trauma of it all. Oh my God. She probably was the only one who knows everything, but she was just 18 months old, so she knows, but she doesn't know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, for a second, like, when I read about that is what he used to do, and the day before he was assassinated, that is what happened, I felt so, like, that is what came to mind. Like, wait, hold up, no one is really talking about this girl who had to witness this. It doesn't matter how young or old you are, that had to be traumatizing in some way. That had to have affected her life in one way or the other, and you can't convince me otherwise. And that's on period. The High Court was told on the incident and everything. Now they were now then the High Court. So she said that she did not see anyone at all. And mind you, all the witnesses say that they did not, they weren't able to positively identify Kisilu. they weren't able to positively identify him to place him at that point. You understand what I'm saying? And there were like around 23 to 20 witnesses, but one witness was able to identify one man because of his unique vein on his forehead, and that man was named Chege Thuo. So Chege was arrested on that day. Kisilu was arrested, and so three men were arrested because of on the assassination of our man Pinto. The first man, Kisilu, we know. The second man, Chege Thuo, and a guy named Sami. So funny story. This Sami guy was released almost the next day. Oh, it's the glitter, it's the shine for me. It's just me reveling in my own. Oh my god. So this Sami guy, he was released almost the next day. And then Chege and Chege Tuo and Kisilo Mutua, they were arrested and went to court. But also another thing I forgot to mention is that there were 10 fingerprints, that were found on as evidence on the crime scene, kwa gari ya Pinto, and then there were seven fingerprints couldn't be identified. At the time it wasn't that clear. Advanced. Yeah, it wasn't that advanced and clear, as she says. But the three that were able to be like identified did not belong to any of the suspects, especially Kisilu, because this whole thing mainly is about Kisilu. Because if I have no physical evidence tying you to a case, why am I prosecuting you? Why are you here? That is wrong. But at that time, people didn't have the rights and resources, especially Kisilu. He didn't have resources. People didn't have resources or rights, and those times were worse than now. Still wild times, but those times were wilder. So the judge in 1965, the jury came up with a verdict, and you can guess the verdict. Can you guess the verdict?
They told Kisilu he was guilty.
No, Kisilu and Chege were found not guilty, but this judge, manze, white people mad. This judge was like, Chege, you're free. You can go your way.
The judge was white.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
He was like, Chege, you can go your way, but Kisilu, I don't believe you're innocent. After a whole jury sat, evaluated this case, put their two cells in it, and they're like, yo, man, fam, they're both innocent. And this judge was like, you guys don't know what you're talking about.
I'm the leader. I say what I want to say.
He's going to do what he wants to do. So he told, but okay, I couldn't. If the jury did find him innocent, he could have just been left. But do you know what his reasoning was? You remember that guy that we don't like by the name Patrick Shaw? You remember him?
Mm-hmm.
The one that took Kisilu.
Mm.
He made. You remember when Kisilu was beaten black, blue? His eyes, he
Left,
couldn't
right,
see
center.
exactly. Kumbe, they made him sign what can I say, a statement, and he didn't know that he was forced to. That statement said that Kisilu was in Westlands of the day of the assassination. So the judge looked Kisilu in the eyes.
They
actually
made eye contact.
Stop being so dramatic. He was given the death sentence, and he told Kisilu, why I'm giving you the death sentence? It's not because you killed Pio Gama Pinto. It's because you're involved with the killers. And Kisilu was like, which killers? Where?
Even if he was, he wasn't supposed to be given
the death sentence. That was too harsh. That was so unfair. Even if he was, he knew the killers one way or another, the death sentence, man, it's like you had something going for this guy. You had it out for this guy. You know,
had personal issues with the person.
Exactly. You had it out for this guy. You saw him and you're like, this is our guy. Don't care what's going to happen. You know, this is the guy I'm going to catch. And sadly enough, he was sentenced to death. And when the judge was telling Kisilu his verdict, Kisilu stood up and shouted at the judge, Sikuua, sijaua mtu, sijaua mtu. I did not kill, 3 times. But the judge just watched him get carried away, and he was taken to Block D in Committee, where death row chambers are, and he stayed there for quite a while. And he found other 44 people. He was the 45th guy. So sad. And every day he would he would pray to his higher power, like, you and I know what happened. No, I did not do this. Do some. And his higher power did not fail him. You know, did not fail him at all. Because the day, all this time he was there, imagine all those people gone. Yo, kill that.
Unamka asubuhi moja shaenda.
Imagine.
Unajua kai.
It's me. So yeah, he witnessed all these people, you know, being taken away one by one. And the day he walimkujia, he was like, he said this, he was talking to his higher power, and like, is this how I am really going to
end my life?
To go? Like, and you and I, is this my ending? Is this what my life has come to? Are you for real? Come on, do some. And the higher power did some. Because, you know, that day, only one man was left behind. So you can imagine he watched 43 guys just go, one by one, go. And he knew, even him, he was going to be strangled. Because honestly, when you're in that situation, you're like, oh my God. That was he knew. But
ushajua your future.
You already know your fate. You're just preparing for But then pingu Kiingereza kimepotea.
The cuffs.
They were taken off him, and he was, you know, told to go the other way. And he was so grateful because at last, like, man, justice is being
served.
Not really served, but at last, like, is this over yet? So in 2001, our former late president Moi pardoned him, and he got released from prison. And let me tell you the shock of this guy when he came out of prison. First of all, his mom came to visit him in, I think, 1976, and then she died soon. I want to get the dates correct. I just want to be saying things. It says here, '71. 71 was not that far off. In 1971, the mom came and visited him, and that was the last time, you know, he ever saw his mom. And she did pass on when he was still in prison. He got released in 2001. You know, 2001, I was in class 1.
I was 1 year.
You were just being born. So, I'm in love. It's official. That's on period. Anyway, so basically, story at we are done, because he came out of prison and found, when he was, you know, when he was taken in by the government, he left Nairobi being, you know, like he said, it was a place where you could maybe not have a place to stay and go and stay at your friend's place even for 6 months. This Nairobi right now. Which Nairobi are you talking about? Not this one. But when he came back from prison, he was so shocked because it was like, wanyama. People have turned into animals. This is not the same place that I left. You can't even stay at your brother's place for 2 days. True that. Road that. But I'm like, it's just life. Now he stays in a place in, I think, Bahati area. I don't know where that is, but it's just around in Nairobi.
He came in when he was young, he left when he was old.
Nigga went in prison when he was 21. He came out when he was 57 because he's 57 because he stayed in prison for 36 years. That is if he actually went in when he was 21. I'm not sure if it's 21 but 23. Mandem's 80 now.
He wasted like 36
years. That is a huge chunk of his life just taken away from him, robbed. Let me show you the last piece of this look. I just happen to have blue like goggles.
Like a fresh burrito.
Tell me you're not in love.
I'm in love. With myself.
So that is what happened to this guy, and up to date, because even like there's no closure in that story. We don't know what happened. We don't know who actually assassinated our Pinto. We don't know.
It's history, which we'll never know.
Hopefully one day we'll know. Yeah. Too much ID discovery, yeah? But yeah, so this is today's makeup look. I was going for a blue look, like something smoky blue. But to be honest, all this extraness, which I'm living for, I love. I didn't plan it, but everything just seemed to work out. Now I'm going to just go make TikToks. My TikTok account, Aisha's Corner. Follow me, and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and tell a friend to
tell a friend to tell a best friend and a friend and an enemy.
Yeah, what for attack on nyote. Here, Aisha's Corner, everybody is welcome. The next episode is just going to be unexplainable things, talks and giggles, ghost stories. Do you guys want me to do ghost stories or ocean stories next? Because the next video is not going to be a murder and makeup. It's not going to be crime and coffee episode. This murder cases this series is called Crime and Coffee, so it's not going to be a crime and coffee episode. It's going to be talk and giggles. So ghost or ocean? You say ghost
or Arsenal. Ghost.
Are you sure you want us to get into Arsenal?
Yes.
Are you sure? Anyway, so this is my sister. Her name is Nuraya. Her social media, I am Dates.
It's me.
It's me Dates. Sorry, it's me Dates. Yeah, follow her there. She's cool. She's cool people. We're cool people. We're mad cool.
We are freshy burritos.
Freshy burrito. Anyway, bye.